Hey guys, in this video you're seeing week one of my new training block. What I'm doing right now is sort of a little bit of a more of a peak of my strength with heavy doubles on squat, bench, and deadlift, just to see where I'm at before I officially start prep for my meet on October 15th. But essentially what I wanted to talk about in this video is how to make better choices with what loads that you use in training. And many of you guys who are powerlifting savvy are probably familiar with an RPE to percentage based chart that basically shows a percentage of 1 rep max you can probably use for a certain number of reps at a certain RPE. And I think this is a really useful training tool. I think that you can absolutely use both in training. Using that percentage as a goal, a target number for your training. However, I wanted to discuss a smarter way to use that because I see people abuse it a lot. And the main reason why they do that is because people will commonly take their peaked maxes that they did in like a competition or their all-time best and assume that that's going to be what they should plug into the RPE chart, because you only take your max and then you plug that in. The problem with that is that when you are undergoing normal training, you're going to be under a certain amount of training fatigue, and that's okay. That's 100% necessary for adaptations to happen. The issue is mainly that when you are peaked, you are trying to intentionally dissipate fatigue to be slightly detrained in order to maintain fitness adaptations and be as strong as you possibly can going into your meets. Now, when you're going in training and you're trying to actually improve, there is a certain level of fatigue that is necessary for progress to happen. It just is how things work. So when you're using these RPE to percentage based charts and you are plugging in your peaked 1 rep max, for example, I can say 501 pounds is like my peaked 1 rep max for squat. If I'm constantly using that to have my expectations for the day, chances are that I'm going to be overshooting about half the time. So my advice is to take about 95 to 97% of your 1 rep max on squat and on deadlift, and use that as your training max. And then on bench press, about 97 to 98%, and use that as your training max. And the reason why we're doing that is, and why they'll have those numbers specifically, is because over time, as I've worked with more and more clients and myself and my experience just peaking and seeing what happens on meet day, that's about the average that most people peak into competitions. Some people peak more, some people peak less. It also depends upon if you actually peak properly or not, because some people just go too heavy, too close to their meets, and then they don't peak as much. But in general, that's a really, really good starting point. Like for example, I know that on squat I peak about 3%, on bench press about 2%, and on deadlift it's between 5 to 8%. So I usually will take about 95% for deadlift, about 97% for squat, and then 98% for bench press, and use that to inform what loads that I do use in training. And the thing is that because I also use RPE in conjunction with that, I'm just using that number that I get from the training max when I plug it into an RPE calculator or something like that, to have a goal weight. If I have a really good day, like my fitness levels are really, really high, I can auto-regulate my training upwards and take advantage of that higher level of fitness. But having those appropriate expectations going into training and understanding the relationship between fatigue and fitness, and how fitness impacts or fatigue impacts your ability to lift heavy weights, you're going to be a lot smarter with your training, have a lot more reasonable expectations, and will probably be able to just make better progress in general. Overshooting all the time is not the best way to make progress. You cannot force strength progress. The way you make strength gains, muscle gains, fat loss is by creating the environments for those things to happen. We are a lot less in control of the rate of adaptation that we do have than we actually think that we do. There are fundamental things though that we can do, like tracking our macros, getting enough sleep, making sure that we are being as consistent as we possibly can with training, hitting our RPEs. That's sort of things that we can control, but our rates of adaptation is going to be dependent upon what calorie state we're in, our level of advancements, how much stress we're dealing with outside of training, our ability to recover. Are we with a good amount of volume or not for us? So there's a lot of things that impact performance. But if you can just understand and just respect and trust the process and just understand it takes time, and then, you know, kind of accept the fact that you're going to be training with some fatigue and not really let that bother you, the better progress that you will be able to make, and you'll probably be able to set yourself up for spurts of progress, especially as you become more intermediate to advanced. Progress becomes a lot less linear, and it does become a lot more sort of little bursts here and there. So hopefully you guys like the video. That was just something I wanted to say, because this is something I think that most people would benefit from. I don't think it's talked about that much. But yeah, the training's going well right now. I feel really strong. I'm excited to see what I can do for my top doubles, and then you know, just stay healthy during meet prep. Is my lats feeling good on deadlift? I'm not really having any pain. So yeah, I will talk to you guys in the next one. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask down below. And for coaching and programs, click the link down below as well.
You break your back to make me feel